The first time Commander Hayes saw her, he almost laughed. The wind coming off the range was brutal that morning. Dry, sharp, unpredictable. It snapped flags sideways and carried dust and long, restless sheets across the desert. A group of SEALs stood behind the firing line, running drills with their usual quiet intensity. Then she walked in. She didn't look like what Hayes expected. Staff Sergeant Elena Voss carried her Barrett .5 cal like it weighed nothing, her movements calm, almost detached. No bravado, no need to prove anything, just quiet focus. Hayes glanced at his men, then back at her, raising an eyebrow. "You're here for the long-range qualification?" he asked, barely masking his skepticism. Elena nodded. "That's right." He smirked. "You ever push that thing past a mile?" A couple of the SEALs chuckled under their breath. The Barrett wasn't a beginner's weapon. It demanded strength, control, and precision under brutal recoil. Most struggled to master it even at standard distances. Elena didn't react. "I've used it enough." That answer only made Hayes more certain. Enough wasn't impressive here. He crossed his arms. "We're running extended range today. Targets start at 1,200 meters. We go out to 2,000 if conditions hold. You sure you want in?" She met his eyes, calm, unshaken. "I didn't come to watch." That earned a few looks. Confidence was one thing. Quiet confidence was something else. "All right," Hayes said. "Let's see what you've got." The first round started. At 1,200 meters, most shooters took a moment to settle, adjusting for wind drift, breathing, trigger control. Elena dropped into position smoothly, as if she'd done this 1,000 times. No wasted motion, no hesitation. Crack. Her shot echoed across the range. A second later, the distant steel target rang clean. The spotter blinked. Hit. Hayes tilted his head slightly. "Lucky shot, maybe." "Again," he said. Crack. Another hit. Now the SEALs weren't chuckling anymore. They pushed the distance. 1,500 meters. The wind picked up, shifting direction in unpredictable gusts. Even experienced shooters started missing, recalculating, adjusting their scopes again and again. Elena stayed still, reading the wind like it was speaking to her. Crack. Hit. Crack. Hit. No wasted rounds, no frustration, just consistency. Hayes stepped closer now, watching carefully. This wasn't luck. "All right," he called out, "let's stretch it." The target was moved to 2,000 meters. At that range, everything mattered. The slightest miscalculation, the smallest twitch of wind, even the Earth's rotation played a role. This was where shooters earned respect, or lost it. Elena adjusted her scope slowly, her breathing steady. The entire range seemed to quiet down, as if everyone instinctively knew something was about to happen. She exhaled. Crack. A long pause. Then, ping. A clean, unmistakable hit. One of the SEALs let out a low whistle. No way. Hayes didn't say anything. He was watching her hands, her posture, her stillness. This wasn't just skill. This was mastery. "All right," he said, quieter this time. She didn't even look up. Crack. Ping. 2 in a row. Now the mood had shifted completely. No one was laughing. No one was doubting. Hayes stepped forward, crouching beside her. "Where'd you learn to shoot like that?" Elena adjusted her position slightly. "Different places." That's not an answer. She finally glanced at him. "It's the only one you're getting." There was no attitude in her voice, just fact. Hayes leaned back, studying her differently now. "You ever gone beyond this?" She paused for a moment. "Once." That caught his attention. "How far?" She didn't answer right away. Instead, she chambered another round. Crack. Ping. Another hit at 2,000 meters. Only then did she speak. 3,200 meters. The words hung in the air. Hayes frowned slightly. "That's not possible." A few of the SEALs exchanged looks. Even the spotter shifted uncomfortably. 3,200 meters wasn't just extreme, it was near myth. Shots at that distance required near-perfect conditions, extraordinary calculation, and a level of patience most people didn't have. Hayes shook his head. "With a Barrett?" Elena nodded once. Yes. Record? Yes. Silence. For the first time that day, Hayes had nothing to say. He stood up slowly, looking out across the range as if trying to process what he'd just heard. Then he looked back at her, not with skepticism this time, but something else. Respect. All right, he said finally. Show me something. Elena didn't ask what he meant. She already knew. The target wasn't moved farther. There wasn't space for that here. Instead, the challenge became precision. Smaller steel, harder angles, faster wind changes. The kind of shooting that exposed even the best. She adjusted once more, her focus absolute. Time seemed to stretch. The wind shifted. She waited. And waited. Then, crack. Ping. Dead center. Another shot. Crack. Ping. Same result. No celebration, no reaction. Just quiet excellence. Hayes exhaled slowly, a faint smile forming despite himself. All right, he said. I get it. Elena finally relaxed, sitting up and pulling off her ear protection. You get what? She asked. He shook his head. That I shouldn't have opened my mouth this morning. A few of the SEALs laughed quietly, the tension breaking. Elena shrugged. Happens. Hayes extended a hand. Commander Hayes. Elena looked at it for a moment, then shook it. I know. He smirked. Of course you do. There was a pause, then he added, 3,200 meters. That's not just skill. That's something else. Elena glanced back at the horizon, her expression unreadable. It's patience, she said, and knowing when not to shoot. Hayes nodded slowly. That answer told him more than any record ever could. As the team packed up and the sun began to dip lower, the atmosphere had completely changed. What started as quiet doubt had turned into something rare, earned respect. One of the SEALs muttered under his breath, just loud enough to be heard, Guess we were the ones getting trained today. Hayes didn't correct him, because he knew it was true. And as Elena Voss walked off the range carrying that massive Barrett like it was just another tool, there was only one thought left in his mind. Some people don't need to prove anything. They just show up and let the shot speak for itself.